Hey there, it's Jen and I'm here with a hybrid layout using the Ali Edwards May 2018 digital kit. I'm going to start out in Photoshop here, and I've sped this up just a little bit because I kind of went a roundabout way of doing this. But basically what I did was open one of the 4x6 cards from the kit, and I'm going to erase some of the elements off of this card so I just have those wreaths left. Basically what I want to do is just isolate them so that I can put photos in two of them, and I'm going to put some word out art in the center one. So I'm opening up the digital stamp set from this kit, and I'm trying to decide right now what exactly I want to do, and I decide that I want to use the words good stuff, but I'm going to need to stack the words because they are too spread out for me to put in the center of that the way I want it to. So I just used the lasso tool to select the word good, and I dragged it over onto my canvas, and now I'm selecting the word stuff and I'm dragging it over, and I'm resizing them to fit together nicely in that space. And so I'm just going to I should have resized them together maybe, and this is why I just sped this part up, because it is not anything professional. It's just like me randomly playing around. And so I just cut the words apart, stacked them on top of each other, and resized them, and now I'm going to recolor them. And what I want to do is I'm trying to grab with my color picker just a blue color from the flowers, but I want it to be a darker shade of it. So I end up filling it with a lighter shade, and then I find a darker shade that I like, and basically all I do is I go to edit, fill, and then I use the foreground color because that's the color that's on top in that box over on the left. So now I have this chosen. I am going to move this over to an 8.5 by 11 page. Now I can't move it over because the bottom piece, it's locked. So I'm going to go to my layers palette, and I just clicked on the little key that was the background, or the lock that was on the background, and it made it unlocked, so I could drag it over to my 8.5 by 11 page. And now I'm just rotating the page so that it is sideways. I'm going to print this so it can be almost as big as it can be. I'm going to put this on a 12 by 12 layout, so I want this to be sized nicely for that. So if it's on an 11.5 or 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper, I can see that it's going to fit across the page nicely. So here's what I'm doing now is I know my photos have a lot of green in them, and the leaves on this are pretty brown. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to replace color. I think it's edit replace color, or maybe it's photo replace color. I can't remember. And then I just selected the brown parts, and then I just moved the little sliders until it turned green. Hey there, so here I have my printed off little cluster of floral wreaths, and you can see I enlarged it to fit across an 8.5 by 11. Now I could keep it on here and just trim this into I could cut this down square, and what my plan is to put the photos behind these two sides. These are some detail shots of just some stuff that I saw when we were in Equal Estate Park in Oregon, and just seeing those little details, like it's important to me to see the details of things. And so that's kind of what this layout's about. The good stuff is in the details. And so but I'm going to hand cut this out. I think I'm going to cut out the whole thing, but I have a bunch of different pattern papers that I'm considering putting it on the background of, so I'm going to cut this out, and then I'll come back and talk you through my process. So I'm just using some detail scissors to cut out the insides of this, and basically I just poke a hole in the middle and then go to town. And I'm not doing this is sped up, but I'm going really fast. I'm just not doing a perfect job because that doesn't matter. And I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive around the wreath, and then put the wreath on top of the photo. And to cut it out, I'm just kind of sliding my scissors underneath the wreath and cutting the photo down. And that's just kind of the easiest way, I think. I could have used a circle punch, but as I wasn't sure that it was going to be just the right size, so I thought this would just be easier. And I already had the photos printed out to 3 by 4 because I had those already printed. So now I'm going to play around with different backgrounds, and I kind of like the wood grain, but it seems a little dark. So I'm going to play around with it on a few different papers, and I'm hemming and hawing and trying to change my mind, and I don't know exactly what to do, but I found this piece of light gray cardstock, and I'm going to use that as my background, and then I'm going to use the wood grain to kind of flank it. So I loved the way that the wood grain it plays into that natural element, but it felt really heavy to put the whole thing on the background of it. So this is a good compromise for me to put it on the gray with the wood grain on the top and bottom. So now what I'm trying to do is figure out a way that I'm going to do my journaling. I thought maybe it would be nice to bring in another pattern. I really loved this gray stripe, and it's a 4x6 card, and I thought I'll just cut it up and then I can put some of it above the photo and some below, and I'll just put my little story in that white space at the bottom of that 4x6 card. But I didn't cut enough off for the top. It's not poking out of the top of those wreaths enough. And so I'm looking for something else now, and I'm actually going to go a different direction, but I'm going to play around and think about this for a little bit here before I go to my scraps, which is what I'm doing now, is looking through my scraps to see if there's something I can put my photos on top of. And I don't really find anything that I love, so I just decided to go ahead and stick down the wood grain patterns because I do know that I want those there. And that is whenever I don't know what to do, I go ahead with what I do know. And so I did that, and then I got this washi tape. It was an add-on for the Stories by the Month kit last month, and it just has the, oh no, it was an add-on for the Type Story kit, and I am using that just as a border along both of those edges. It's just the ABCs, and I like the way that looks. And then I'm going to mount my my little wreaths on some foam squares, and I'm trying to decide, do I want this at the top? Do I want this at the bottom? Do I want it centered? Where am I going to put this whole thing? So I decide in order to determine where I want this, I need to figure out what my title is going to be. So I remembered I had cut this word details out of another card, and I thought because I wanted to talk about focusing on the details that it would be a good thing to use for my title. So I am thinking about a few different titles, and one of them is It's in the Details, and then the other one is The Beauty is in the Details, or Beauty in the Details. And so I have these white letter stickers, and I don't have any T's, so I'm trying to make my own. I've used them a few times, and so I've just used up the T's, but I'm gonna play around with this for a bit. I don't know, I'm gonna struggle a little. I pulled out these little tiny tile alpha stickers to see if I wanted to use them for the words in and the, so I could do Beauty in the Details. And I kind of decided that that word details wasn't large enough. Like, it wasn't taking up enough real estate, in my opinion. And it was too similar to the words good stuff. And so I felt like they were competing with each other a little bit. So I thought I need to either bring them together, which maybe could have worked, or I need to switch this up. So I pull out these green letters, and I think maybe I can use those because they kind of match the color of the leaves around the wreaths, but I will end up not liking this either. I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't know, I just felt like I needed something darker, and black felt like it was going to be way too bold. So I found these dark gray alphabets, and they're a little bit larger, and I like that they are a serif font because they really contrast against the kind of scripty text of the good stuff. And so I'm going to do Beauty in the Details, and I'm going to do in those little white letter stickers that I pulled out to begin with, and then the words Beauty and Details with this dark gray font. And so I like the way that spreads across the page too, and I like the way that the words in and the stacked on top of each other in between the words Beauty and Details. Then what I did was went to my typewriter, and I just typed up my journaling, and my journaling just talks about how this place, I had been here before. I went with my friend CJ, and we specifically went on this trip to find some peace. Like, we were having a hard time in our lives at that point, and we just wanted, to just really find some inner peace, kind of. And so it was nice to be there with her because I didn't feel rushed. We took our time. We looked at everything. We drank in the air. Like, it was just so nice to just drink it all in, to remember that feeling, the rhythm of my heartbeat, the just steadiness of my breath, that kind of thing, as we were in this place that I wanted to remember it so I could go back to it. And it was nice because we were both we sat there for a long time, quiet, neither of us breaking the silence, just allowing each other to be fully in the moment. And that was just a really great experience. And so I'm talking about that, and how I could find beauty in the details of that place, and how I can bring myself back there because I stopped to drink it all in. I can bring myself back there, to that place, to that time, to that way I felt. And so that's what my journaling is about. I cut it all into strips, and I'm just gluing it down centered beneath the photos and the title. And it's quite lengthy, so it will overlap. I thought maybe it would fit just right in that space, or I wanted it to overlap onto the wood grain a little bit more than it actually did, but that's okay. I ended up typing out the place and the date and just putting it a little bit below it to the right, so it's a little offset. And so I decided I wanted to use some circles to kind of balance everything. So here I'm going to run into some problems looking for circles that are exactly what I want, because sometimes I get picky and I feel like I just need exactly what I need. So I'm looking through past story kit elements. There's some epoxy sticker or puffy stickers, and there's some chipboard stickers, and I'm gonna play around with those. And like I mentioned, they're from a variety of past story kits, and some of them are from like day in the life and week in the life kind of stuff. And so and from stories by the month kits. So I'm gonna go with like this aqua color, and I'm gonna just find 5 different circles. It's gonna take me a while. I'll just make you aware of that, to find those circles, but I'm going to find 5 different circles and spread them around. And I'm also going to search for maybe a word strip or 2 that I can add to the layout. I have been on a circle kick for a little while, and have been like, circles are just the perfect thing. They always work. And so I just absolutely love it. The lens story kit had some chipboard pieces that really went along with kind of the theme of my layout. This chipboard piece says seeing things, and there's also a little one that says a different angle. And so there are some things in my journaling that kind of go along with that. And so I pulled both of the pieces out. I like the way that the seeing things is gray and it has the dark letters, so it kind of reminds me of the way the title looks on the background. And so I really like kind of the repetition of that. And then I'm playing around with this a different angle little chipboard piece, and it's a darker aqua color, and I like that it's a little bit different. And so I'm going to place it in that spot, even though it's kind of a strange spot. Now, that card that I cut up at the beginning that had the stripes, I really loved it. And there was this space at the bottom that was kind of empty with just the wood grain there. And so I just decided to put that strip that I had cut off the top of it down at the bottom. And I like the way that brings the gray down there as well. Now, to add some details to this layout, because I'm talking about the beauty and the details, I pulled over my sewing machine. I have white thread in it, and I'm just stitching like 5 or 6 times on that diagonal strip. And then I'm also going to stitch down on the chipboard piece that says seeing things, or I can't remember what it says now. And then, yeah, seeing things. And then I'm also going to stitch a little bit on that chipboard circle that's below the wreaths. So that's pretty much going to finish this. I will add a little bit of white paint splatter, but I don't think I show that in the video. I'm just going to pull my threads through to the back of the layout. But that's going to finish this after I add the white splatters you'll see in the close-ups, and they are coming up here in just a minute. I hope that you have enjoyed. If you haven't checked out the digital kits in Allie's shop each month, they're really great. They're really great to prompt awesome stories, and I had a lot of fun this month with this one. So I hope that you'll check it out. I'll leave links in the video description below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.